Air India passenger plane that took off for London and crashed within minutes. More than 200 people reported dead.
They cannot identify loved ones.
अब मुझे बच्चों के बारे में पता करना है कि मेरे बच्चे कहाँ हैं छोटे, उसका जवाब कौन देगा? सरकार दे नहीं रही है जवाब.
What led to the Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad?
We all know what happened with Boeing 787 Dreamliner flight bound for London. Crashed shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad. As of now, the grim reality is that 241 lives have been lost, including both pilots and all cabin crew members. Only one passenger miraculously survived. The black box, crucial for understanding the final moment of the flight, has been recovered. An investigation by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau (AAIB) is already underway.
Would you fly on one? No. You won't fly on one. Would you fly one of these planes?
And as you saw in the video, people who are creating Boeing 787 Dreamliner themselves are not ready to take that same flight. This horrific incident isn't just a standalone tragedy. It shines a glaring spotlight on a company that was once synonymous with aviation excellence, which in recent years has become a symbol of serious safety concern. A recent Boeing incident includes door plug, tire fall, fuel leak, 737 MAX crashes. This recent crash involving the 787 Dreamliner, a model Boeing once championed for its safety, is the latest in a troubling series of incidents. And very recently, on 29 December 2024, the Boeing 737-800 operating the flight when a bird strike occurred. The pilot issued a mayday alert, performed a go-around, and on the second landing attempt, the landing gear did not deploy and the plane barely landed well beyond the normal touchdown zone. Think back to just this year. In January, a door plug on a Boeing 737 MAX 9 literally blew off mid-flight on an Alaska airline plane, leaving a gaping hole in the side of the fuselage. Imagine being 1,600 feet in the air and seeing that. Investigation quickly found loose bolts on other similar door plugs. Then a month later, a tire fell off Boeing 777 during takeoff from San Francisco, crashing cars below. We have also heard reports of Boeing aircraft experiencing fuel leak in flight, forcing emergency landing. These are not isolated mechanical failures, these are symptoms of a deeper problem. In the past decade alone, there have been over 970 incidents involving Boeing aircraft worldwide. For 80 years, Boeing was untouchable. Founded in 1961 by William Boeing, it quickly became a titan of industry. During World War I, they supplied aircraft to the US Navy. By the 1950s, they delivered the first US-made commercial jetliner, the Boeing 707. But it was the Boeing 747, the Queens of Sky, that truly cemented their legacy. Launched in 1970, it was a marvel of engineering. While competitors like Airbus A300 carried around 250 passengers for 4,600 miles, the 747 could carry 460 passengers and fly a 9,200 miles non-stop. It literally opened up the world to air travel, making it accessible to millions. This incredible success was no accident. For decades, Boeing was a company ran by engineers. These were not just business executives, they were individuals with deep technical expertise, many holding patent themselves, designing wings, and always putting safety and engineering excellence ahead of profit. Saying went, if it's not Boeing, I am not going. It was a testament to the unparalleled trust they had earned. So how did a company with such a sterling reputation fail so far? To understand this, we need to get into a fundamental concept in business. For most of its first 80 years, Boeing was unapologetically product-driven. Its executive were engineers, they held patent, they understood the intricacies of aircraft design and manufacture. They were willing to take enormous risk for the sake of a better plane. Consider Boeing's legendary $1 billion bet. In 1965, Boeing's total revenue that year was $2 billion. They chose to invest over half of that, more than $1 billion, into developing the 747.
Development back in the 1960s was measured in billions of dollars.
This was an insane risk in the aviation industry, where even $1 billion investment offers no guarantee of a successful product. Developing an aircraft takes 5 to 10 years, and there's always a chance your design might never even take off. For example, the 787 Dreamliner cost $32 billion to develop, and they needed to sell 1,100 aircraft just to break even. That's more than 1.4 times the size of India's entire current commercial aircraft fleet. Yet in 1965, Boeing's engineer pushed forward. It took them 28 months and 4,500 engineers, but they built the 747 so well that it remained the largest passenger aircraft for 37 years. Their obsession with product paid off beautifully. Product comes first, revenue, profit, shareholders, everything comes next. That, my friend, is the philosophy of a product-driven business. In contrast, a business-driven business prioritizes revenue growth, profit margins, and shareholders' value above all else. The quality of the product, while still important, can become secondary to these financial metrics. From 1975 to 1995, Boeing's stock price soared by 4,400%. The revenue climbed, and the profit were substantial. There were investors, a formidable company on the face of the earth. Turning point, many experts agree, arrived in 1996. At that time, the market had three major players: Boeing, Airbus, and McDonnell Douglas. To consolidate its lead, Boeing acquired McDonnell Douglas for $12 billion. There is where the culture began to shift. The CEO of McDonnell Douglas, Harry Stonesifer, became the president and chief operating officer of the newly merged entity and a member of Boeing's board. Suddenly, the McDonnell Douglas way of doing business, which was more focused on cost cutting and short-term financial gain, began to seep into Boeing's DNA. The once engineer-led company started to be governed by a Wall Street mindset. Boeing began outsourcing a huge number of 70% of its design, engineering, and manufacturing of entire modules to over 50 strategic partners worldwide in Japan, Malaysia, Italy. While it was pitched as a way to cut cost and gain market access, it led to massive complication. The 787 Dreamliner program, for instance, saw its budget skyrocket from an initial $8 to $10 billion to $32 billion, largely due to quality control issues and coordination nightmares caused by this fragmented supply chain. Boeing later admitted they had gone too far with outsourcing. Layoffs saw cost cutting between 1999 and 2003. Boeing laid off over 50,000 employees. These were often experienced engineers and skilled laborers. Their knowledge replaced by a drive for leaner operation, share buybacks over innovation, and perhaps more intelligently, instead of investing into profit, into developing new, safer, and more efficient aircraft, Boeing engaged in an aggressive program of share buybacks. Between 1998 and 2018, Boeing spent an astonishing $61 billion, initially 81.8% of their profit, buying back their own stock. This artificially inflated their earning per share, making the company look more attractive to shareholders in the short term, but starved critically R&D and quality control efforts. To make matter worse, Boeing's entire headquarters and senior management were moved 2,000 miles away from its commercial aircraft division. This physical and cultural separation meant the executives making the financial decisions were entirely disconnected from the engineer on the factory floor, leading to a complete breakdown into communication regarding quality and safety. The accumulation of this cultural shift was the Boeing 737 MAX. In 2011, American Airlines, a loyal Boeing customer for 15 years, started buying more efficient aircraft from Airbus. Boeing knew it was losing ground, but instead of $20 billion required for a new aircraft design, they took a shortcut. They invested just $2.5 billion to tweak their existing 737 design and called it the 737 MAX. This tweak was designed to game the certification system by using many existing 737 parts. Boeing couldn't argue it wasn't a new aircraft, thus avoiding the rigorous 5 to 9 year certification program and allowing airlines to use existing pilot with minimal cheap training, and it worked. The 737 MAX was approved without mandatory simulators training for pilots. The crucial fatal change was the introduction of a larger engine placed further forward on the wing. This affected the plane's aerodynamics, causing its nose to pitch up too high in certain conditions. To counter this, Boeing secretly introduced Maneuvering Characteristic Augmented System (MCAS). This system was designed to automatically push the plane's nose down if it detected a high angle of attack, preventing a stall.
The aircraft was landing at the airport but failed to reach the runway and fell into the sea.
Here's the chilling part. In both the Lion Air 2018 and Ethiopian Airlines 2019 crashes, the MCAS system received erroneous sensory data and repeatedly forced the plane's nose down shortly after takeoff. In one instance, the system commanded nose down movement 26 times. Pilot fought desperately for 10 minutes to pull the nose up, but ultimately lost control. The most shocking fact The pilot didn't even know MCAS existed. Boeing deliberately omitted information about MCAS from the flight manuals and did not provide specific training, arguing it was a minor change. The willful negligence directly led to the death of 346 people. While the world focused on the 737 MAX, another disturbing narrative was quietly unfolding regarding the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, the very aircraft that involved in Ahmedabad crash.
It is a big headline. You may have seen it already. U.S. regulators grounding Boeing's 787 Dreamliner, the plane on which the company has staked its future.
As far back as 2013, Dreamliner faced grounding due to overheating lithium-ion batteries. In 2019, John Barnett, a former quality manager at Boeing, became a whistleblower. He alleged that under immense pressure to meet production deadlines, workers were deliberately fleeting substandard part to aircraft. He even claimed to have found issues with oxygen system. Most recently, in April 2024, another current Boeing engineer, Sam, came forward with even more alarming claims.
I have serious concerns about the safety of the 787 and 777 aircraft.
He alleged that workers were improperly joining sections of the 787 fuselage, leading to tiny gaps that could cause premature fatigue and crack, potentially leading to catastrophic failure. He described seeing workers jumping on the piece of the airplane to get them to align, a practice he called the Tarzan effect.
I literally saw people jumping on the pieces of the airplane to get them to align. I call it the Tarzan effect.
Self-Port claimed that he saw reflections of rising these concerns. Boeing has consistently denied these specific allegations, stating full confidence in the 787 safety.
I was told to shut up. I received physical threats.
However, the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) is investigating Selhopper's claim, and in May 2004 even ordered Boeing to re-inspect all 787s still in production and develop a plane for in-service fleet regarding unacceptable gaps. An Italian investigation also uncovered a fraud scheme involving over 4,800 defective parts installed in 787s, further highlighting supply chain vulnerability. The Ahmedabad crash on Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, a model that forces us to ask critical questions about whether these long-standing warnings about production quality and a compromised safety culture at Boeing are now manifesting in the most tragic ways. And at the end, I just want to tell the investigation is ongoing around the Ahmedabad plane crash that was bound to London, and yet nothing has been confirmed whether it's because of bird strike or whether it was dual engine failure or it was due to some issues with the pilots. Nothing has been confirmed, but as much as Air India is answerable for this incident, the past history shows us that Boeing is equally answerable to it, and whatever the final investigation says, all the experts right now are indicating that the problem was within the engine. The problem occurred, the crash occurred because both the engine failed. If that's the case, Boeing is answerable. Boeing has to take the accountability. And if you like these kind of breakdowns, do subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching this video.